Now, what I've learned over the years working as an accountant is that there are these key 7 areas which if you focus on, you can improve your personal finances. The point you see on the screen, you can say that, well, hang on a minute, Hasnain, these are quite common and we already know that. That's true, but just like taking a shower or consuming motivational content, you need those things quite regularly, and the same applies here. I think you need to recap and revisit these areas on a regular basis and measure yourself against them. See how well you're doing in each area, and is there any area which needs a bit more work on? A focus on all of these areas rightly implemented will improve your financial position. Now, the first point is the simplest but the most important point: making a budget and sticking to it. You can say that, well, we've made hundreds and thousands of budgets, but the main question is, how well did you stick towards that budget? So it doesn't have to be a complicated or complex Excel sheet. It could be in the most simplest of forms. You can just have a list of all of your expenditure. For example, I pay X amount for rent and mortgage. I pay X amount for food, fuel, petrol, electricity, light and heat. And the main point is that list of expenditure should be in a realistic proportion to your income. So grab a pen and paper, list down all of your monthly expenditures, and also remember to revisit that list of expenditure on a regular basis. Maybe your circumstances have changed. Maybe you've had some extra expenditure come into your life, or maybe something has gone out which is not needed. For example, 2 years ago during COVID days, everyone's train travel completely stopped. So if you had an amount in that list for your train tickets, you could possibly take that out. So depending on whatever your personal circumstances are, revisit the list on a regular basis and see if you need to add or deduct any expenditure from your budget. But then, as I said, you need to try and stick to your budget. Once you've got a realistic budget in place, give it your best shot, put in as much effort as you can, and try and stick to that budget. If for some reason you're going under or over the budget on a frequent basis, maybe your budget wasn't actually a true reflection of what your expenditures are. So in that case, you may need to revisit and revise the figures in your budget. Now, the second point over here is linked to your purchases. You have to try and track your spending. You can't just start spending money and not have a trail of where is your money going to. So if you set up a budget for yourself and that budget is realistic and achievable, then it only makes sense for you to also track your spending. There are applications out there where you can connect your bank card to the application and it gives you a report on a monthly or a periodic basis of where you've been spending your card. So the key point over here is you need to have the knowledge of where is your money being spent. Okay, so you've set yourself a realistic and achievable budget. You've been tracking your spendings. Now, as I mentioned, the budget should be based on what income you're bringing in. So within that income, you need to have a certain portion allocated towards your savings. Now, the best way to make sure a portion of your income is sent into your savings account is to try and set up an automatic transfer. On a monthly basis, determine what amount of your income needs to go into your savings account. Make sure the automatic transfer is turned on. As soon as you get paid or as soon as you get some income in your bank account, that savings should be automatically transferred into your savings account. This is quite a significant point. On a regular basis, you need to make sure a portion of your income is sent to your savings account. Another benefit for that is you've got some funds sitting in a separate bank account and they can be used for any kind of emergency needs whenever needed. Okay, back to the journey of improving your finances. So you've set up a budget, you've tracked your spendings, you've saved automatically. Now, if you've got any loans and debts, try to pay off your loans ASAP, especially the ones with interest, because interest eats into your cash flow. Because if you're still increasing the interest bearing loans and credit cards, that's just increasing your interest and it's building it up and it's going to eat into your cash flow. So try and pay it off as soon as possible. Remind yourself of the assets and liabilities definition whenever you're spending your credit card or taking out a loan. You need to increase your assets and decrease your liabilities. Okay, so next point on the journey is to make investments. Now, if you've set up a realistic budget, you've been tracking your spendings, you've been saving automatically, and you've been paying off any loans and debts, if you've still got capacity left in your income, it's wise to make some investments. So depending on what your investment strategy is going to be, you can look at various asset classes, you can look at different investment options and decide which one is more suitable for you. So it really revolves around what are your personal financial goals, what are you trying to achieve from your money. Depending on your personal financial situation, you can seek guidance from a financial advisor, see what works best for you, which options help you achieve that financial goal you want effectively. Okay, now the sixth point on this journey is to avoid any impulsive spending. So if you've got a budget in place, if you've been tracking your spendings, if you've been saving automatically, if you've been paying off your debt, if you've been investing, the key thing for you to do all of those points is you have to avoid any kind of impulsive spending. So you need to ask yourself some simple questions. Do I really want to spend on this, that, that, do I really need this item? Do I really need this service? Again, are they increasing my assets or are they increasing my liabilities? It doesn't sound right, but I would say take emotion out of the question. So what you really need to do to improve your personal finances is look at your spending habits and make sure they're in line and helping you in reaching that financial goal. Okay, so the final point over here is to look at your income. Now, as I said in the first point, when we were making the budget, your budget needs to be in proportion to your income. That's true, because if you're earning X amount, you only have a certain capacity to spend from that income. Now, if you say, for example, well, the budget that I'm setting up or the expenditure that I have is more than what I'm bringing in, then it means you need to increase your income. You can do that by either increasing your income from the job you already have or the income source that you already have, or you can try and look into diversifying your income sources. So if you can set up multiple income streams for yourself, that will help to bring in more cash inflows to service the cash outflows. So I know this sounds simple and straightforward, but it's true. To improve your financial position, you need to increase your income. Looking at your income and increasing your income streams is at the bottom of the list, but effectively it's the starting point. So once you've determined your income, you set up a realistic and achievable budget in proportion to that income. You then track your spendings, you then save automatically, you then pay off any loans, especially the ones with interest. You then make sure that you've made some kind of investments if you've got capacity left. And finally, you try to avoid any kind of unnecessary spending, impulsive buying, and emotional purchases, especially if they're of significant value and if they are increasing your liabilities, not your assets. And I completely understand you may already be focusing on these areas. However, we just need to be reminded on a regular basis, if you're trying to improve your financial situation, these areas are the areas which I would start from, and I would try and improve on areas which I'm weak on. Hope that video was useful for you, and good luck with achieving those financial goals.